On this week's Tuesday Talk, we are discussing the past year, since by next Tuesday, it'll be New Year.
As you notice, we didn't buy a yurt.
No.
We threatened to buy a yurt.
No. So
as an April Fool's joke.
Yeah. So the year
and some people so took that seriously.
The year started out with us being in the Airstream in Tucson. I was still working full time. Steve had quit or retired in December. We did a lot at the beginning of this year. Even though we were stationary, that's when we did our floors. We did our desk project. I think almost all of our DIY stuff we did in the first 3 months of this year before we hit the road.
That's right. And we knew nothing about what we were doing. We just went step by step and did the best we could.
Yep. After having lived in it for a while.
It turned out pretty good.
No, yeah, it turned out great. And then April 1st came around and I stopped working and we hit the road, Jack.
Right. Yep. First stop was Pinnacle Peak. Boy, that hike kicked my butt.
It was a tough hike. Actually, we think
video up there.
We think that hike might have been actually harder than Angel's Landing, so that's saying something. But maybe we were just in better shape by Angel's Landing. That's probably more likely.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. And then we headed up into Utah and spent a decent amount of time in southern Utah.
We headed to Nevada first. Valley of Fire was one of my
that's
favorite.
True. That is true. We did Valley of Fire.
One of my favorite parks.
I agree. Valley of Fire is an amazing state park.
And that's when I got that really cool photo of you sitting in the road. Actually, it was this one.
Yeah.
That photo was from Valley of Fire.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's one of my favorites too. Can't forget that. So then we were in southern Utah and we did our first, we had been to Zion before, but we hung out, we did some Zion hiking, went to Snow Canyon.
Zion was nice. Snow Canyon was just
beautiful. Another amazing state park to stay in.
Yes. My folks live right around there, so it gives us an excuse to keep going back.
Yeah.
Which is really convenient.
Yeah. And then from Snow Canyon, we moved on and went to Bryce. And by then we'd done quite a bit of boondocking, both...
I scratched up the side of the Airstream.
Yeah, in Bryce, trying to find a spot out in the forest. And we had that forest fire that we didn't know if it was a real fire or not. That scared us to death.
It was controlled.
It was a controlled
Thanks
burn.
to Twitter for letting us know what was going on.
Yeah, if you ever see a fire or something like that, we tried going to the National Forest Service website.
The website sucked, especially for national parks and forests.
Yeah, but
Go to their Twitter account.
Said that it was a prescribed burn. Is that what it's called? Controlled burn. And so that made us feel a lot better since it was across the street from where we were camping. But we met some cool people there. We met Rhiannon and James and a bunch of others who were camping right there with us. Fellow Instagrammers who happened to all be boondocking outside of Bryce Canyon. So that was a lot of fun.
Yes, that was.
And then from there, we...
popped a tire on the way west.
No, not quite. First, we went to Antelope Island.
Oh, through there.
North of Salt Lake City, and got eaten alive by
bugs.
By the no-see-ums. Yeah, don't go to Antelope Island during no-see-um hatching time. It's a beautiful island, amazing place to stay, but not when the no-see-ums are hatching.
Not in the spring.
Yeah, because it was awful. Couldn't go outside.
Even Penny had welts.
Yeah, Penny was bleeding. It was bad. But from there, we started headed west. And that's when we blew our tire in the Salt Flats, right? Still right on the border, right? With Utah and Nevada.
Yes. It was in the Utah side, but we spent some quality time in Wendover, Utah. Right?
And Nevada. It was both.
Yeah, it's on the line.
Yeah, it's on the line. I think it's weird. I think the KOA is in Nevada. But
we spent a week there waiting for tires, and then our fuel tank, oh my gosh.
Yes.
That vehicle's no longer with us.
No.
But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. So from there, we did Tahoe area.
Tahoe was nice.
Truckee. That was a lot of fun.
Did we do, no, Tahoe was first. Never mind.
Tahoe, Truckee. Got to see some friends there and do a little bit of hiking and drive around the whole Lake Tahoe. I'd never been there. It was beautiful. Waterfalls were going because of all the snow they had.
Lots of snow.
Yeah.
Lots of snow.
And then we headed to Northern California. Was Vinny's first, or did we go to the lake first? I think it was Labor Day, then Vinny's.
I think it was.
I mean, Memorial Day and then Vinny's.
Yeah, Memorial Day. Labor Day's in September.
Yeah. So, but after being at the lake for Memorial Day, we went to Vinny's Airstream repair, and he gave us new Airstream tires. And
beautiful tires. Could have done without the frogs in the pond at Vinny's, but
we stayed there overnight since it was just like in the Airstream. Those suckers will
like battle it out verbally on both sides of the ponds, just ribbiting back and forth. You really heard it because we were like right there, right? But the nice thing is, Vinny will let you stay on his property overnight if you need to get work done. So you don't have to pay for campground or worry about moving your rig. It's all just kind of right there, which is super cool.
So we got a bunch of little things done with Vinny, which was awesome. Before we headed north, hit Mount Shasta, got to stay on Lake Shastina, which might be my favorite boondocking spot.
It was very nice.
That we had. Well, it's not really boondocking. It's a campground, but it's a free campground. Amazing. Right on the lake. I just loved it there. Got to do some hiking up there. And then we finally hit Oregon. Right?
Yes.
Yes. And we went we tried to do Crater Lake. And this is when we learned
it's beautiful.
That Crater Lake is at a higher elevation than we thought.
Lots of snow.
There was still a lot of snow. So this is a couple weeks after Memorial Day. So this is late May, early June. And or no, it was June, I guess.
It was June.
It was in June. And still so much snow. Beautiful in the snow, but we couldn't do any hiking at Crater Lake at all because everything was still covered in snow.
We should have done more research, but I didn't think, most of the park was closed. But we got some of the way, enough to actually get out and see Crater Lake.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And there wasn't a whole lot for camping around there, and we ended up at Diamond Lake Campground, which was, we were right on the limit of how long we could be for that campground, and you could tell. And the mosquitoes were ridiculous.
They were swarming.
Like you could hear
Video
them
up there.
You could hear them inside our rig.
Like tornadoes of mosquitoes.
It was really
outside
really
as you
crazy.
were driving around.
Yeah.
Not fun.
So we didn't stay there
Beautiful
that long.
campground, but not fun.
Yeah. And probably amazing in the summertime when it's actually nice and sunny and stuff. But then we headed to Bend pretty much. And hung out outside of Bend. Loved Bend.
Bend was awesome.
Yeah.
10 Barrel Brewing was my favorite brewery.
Yeah.
But they have tons of breweries.
They do.
Tons of breweries.
We bought our bikes there. We went and did a whole bunch of hiking around there. And we only really scratched the surface. We will definitely be back in Bend. It is a really, really cool town.
Bend is good people.
Yeah.
And it's filled with good people.
Yes.
Or so I understand. We didn't have a problem with them, so.
From there, we headed towards Corvallis to see some friends for a few days before getting out to the coast.
For 4th of July.
For 4th of July. And dealing with our hitch. Finally figuring out what was wrong with our hitch because it had been making noise since the Memorial Day.
It was barely hanging on.
And it turned out it was the receiver on the back of our truck that had lost a couple of its bolts. So we got that taken care of while we were in the Florence area visiting family. Got to see a bunch of the coast. The Oregon coast is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually just continued heading up the coast and went to Barview Jetty. That was a really cool campground.
Yes, that was. Especially after what we had just been in.
Yes.
Like very damp, covered with trees. That was not the best spot. It was free, which is cool, but that was not the best spot. Yeah. So then we went to Barview Jetty and it's all open, you got full hookups, the sun was shining,
you could
the
walk to the
was
beach.
Right there.
It was amazing. We really liked that campground too.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. From there, we headed inland and stopped around Portland for a few days to visit friends and stealth camped as much as you can stealth camp in an Airstream on the streets of their neighborhood. And then went to the Cascade River Gorge. Waterfalls there.
You mean Columbia River?
Columbia River Gorge. Waterfalls there were amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Like, happy place for me because I love waterfalls.
I don't mind
We were seeing like 3 waterfalls a day there. It was just unbelievable.
There's one right after the other.
It's really sad because they had a bunch of fires after we left. And I know some of the areas don't look anything like what they did before. So we were very lucky to have seen them when we did.
Yep. Then spent some time in Montana and Idaho.
Well, we went to Idaho because it got so hot. We were planning to spend more time in Oregon, but it got hot, like hot. And so we went into Idaho.
Upper 90s.
We went and saw Bruneo, sand dunes. We saw the crater of the moon. We did our bottoming out episode up in Sun Valley. which we love that area.
That valley was awesome.
Just not the
Expensive,
Boondocking out.
but awesome.
Awesome up there. And then decided to go and see some of Yellowstone, which hadn't been in our plans. So we parked in Island Park, boondocked, outside of the west entrance, and went into Yellowstone for a week, which was super fun, and we loved it. Yellowstone's an amazing park.
Yes, it is. Absolutely amazing. You got recognized for the first time in Yellowstone, which is cool.
Very cool. And then
for the second time, also
the next time we were in Yellowstone,
And then was there 3 or 2?
No, 2.
2, okay.
Yeah. And so then we had to meet friends, family at the Tetons. Unfortunately, this is when it started getting smoky, so we didn't really get to see much of the Tetons.
The first day it was clear.
Yeah.
Everything else was all just smoke covered.
But Jackson Hole was amazing, and the Tetons seemed amazing, and so we will definitely be going back, hopefully without the cloud of smoke.
Sans smoke.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So from there, we had a couple weeks, and it was like, where do we go now? And we decided to head back up and around and do the north entrance to Yellowstone up in Montana, just because it was still kind of warm other places, and why not? So we headed up there. Yeah. We boondocked outside that entrance, got to see a bunch more animals, got to see snow. This is when it first started snowing, so we got to see Yellowstone in the snow. Yeah. Hit the caves, Lewis and Clark Caverns. Amazing. Like,
in Montana.
Just blew my mind. I don't know why. I think it's because I went in with this kind of low expectations, and the cave was just so cool.
The cave was nice.
Yeah. It was really cool. I highly recommend it if you're in Montana to check out Lewis and Clark Caverns State Park. We camped right there. That was awesome. Then started heading.
There too.
Yeah, it was cold there too. Started heading out of Montana. Did a little stop in Idaho before getting down to Salt Lake City so that I could fly out for a girls' weekend to San Diego.
Stayed in that really, really loud campground.
But it's right by the airport.
But it's right there. Yeah.
Got to celebrate our wedding anniversary in Salt Lake City. Got some good food there.
Yep.
And then went back down to southern Utah, St. George area again, more Zion because we love it there, before finally heading back to Tucson. I guess we stopped in Sedona briefly.
And warmth.
Yeah, we did stop in Sedona briefly before we came back to Tucson.
Yes, that's where I got this awesome shot of the stars. The Milky Way was right above us, the rocks below. Oh man, it's perfect.
Yeah. And now we're in Tucson. We've been in Tucson since the end of October, and we'll be here through the rest of this year.
And then we're buying a yurt.
No yurt. There will be no yurt.
No yurt. That's something we don't even joke about. Well, no, I guess we do joke about it.
We joke about it. There's no plans for a yurt.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. There's no plans to even upgrade the rig. But that is another Tuesday Talk, is the plans for the next year. That will be next week. So
we're going to try something different next year.
Are we?
Well, with how we camp and stuff.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So
I thought that's what you were talking about.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next time.
Okay, maybe it's a teaser for me too, because I apparently don't know what we're going to talk about.
We did upgrade our truck this year when we got back to Tucson, so now I can drive it.
And that was an upgrade.
That was an upgrade.
In many ways.
Yeah.
We loved Clifford.
He was a great truck.
But we love Bosley at least
awesome.
as much.
Yeah. I think I said today that Bosley is rugged but classy. That's Bosley.
I think you did say that.
Yeah. So that was this year. It was awesome. It was full of a lot of surprises. Quite a few learning lessons, I would say. Yeah. A lot of flexibility. Like I said, we didn't even plan to go to Yellowstone, and we ended up there like 2 different entrances for 2 different weeks. So
that's all part of this lifestyle.
Yes, exactly. Gotta roll with it and figure out what you want to do and just kind of stay flexible.
That's right. You got to camp somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's here or whether it's there, it doesn't matter.
No, it's true. So thank you for joining us this year on our adventures. We hope you learned something like we learned something, and that you had fun.
Many of you have bought our calendar, which is awesome.
Yes.
One of you bought the mouse pad. That one's not as popular. Honestly, out of the 2, I would expect the calendar to be a little bit of a better product, I guess.
Yeah. I like the mouse pad. Yeah. That was for me.
Yeah, we ordered the first one for her, and now she has it at work.
Yeah. It makes me happy.
Nice.
So, yeah, thanks for joining us this year, and hopefully we will see you all next year for more adventures. Stay tuned. Next week's Tuesday Talk is the plans for 2018.
I'm going to be looking forward to this one, too.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, guys.